Hey friends, let's be real. Breakups are some of the most emotionally charged experiences we go through. Whether it's been days, weeks, or even months since the split, the question can linger: what if we could make things work again? Maybe you're replaying moments in your mind, trying to figure out where things went wrong. Maybe you're still holding on to that spark, hoping it can reignite. But here's something most people don't realize. What you say to your ex during this delicate time can make or break your chances of reconciliation. Picture this. You're walking on a glass bridge, trying to cross over to the other side where your ex stands. Every word you speak is like a step forward. Choose your words carefully and the bridge holds steady. But say the wrong thing, that fragile glass can crack and shatter, leaving you with no way to rebuild the connection. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about understanding the power of words. Words can heal, but they can also hurt. And in the aftermath of a breakup, emotions run high for both sides. It's easy to say things in the heat of the moment that you might regret later. Desperation, anger, or even love can drive us to speak without thinking. But if you truly want a second chance, you need to tread carefully. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom applies here. While you can't control how your ex feels or responds, you can control how you communicate. Instead of acting out of fear or longing, choose your words with clarity and intention. The truth is, the things you say in these critical moments can leave a lasting impression. For instance, pleading with your ex or blaming them for the breakup might seem like natural reactions, but these actions often backfire. They can make you seem needy, push them further away, or reopen wounds that are still healing. On the other hand, calm, measured communication signals emotional maturity, a trait that's not only attractive, but essential for rebuilding trust. This video isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about empowering you to approach this situation with dignity and confidence. It's about recognizing that while the past can't be rewritten, the way you handle the present can shape your future. Whether or not your ex comes back, the most important thing is that you remain true to yourself and your growth. So today, we'll explore the 10 things you should never say to your ex if you truly want them back. These aren't just random do's and don'ts. They're lessons drawn from real-life stories, backed by human psychology, and grounded in the idea that every word holds power. By the end of this, you'll have the tools to navigate these conversations with grace and strength. Before we dive in, here's a little exercise. I want you to drop an affirmation in the comments. I speak with clarity and confidence. Let it serve as a reminder of your power to communicate effectively and handle even the hardest conversations with composure. Let's get started. Number 1. I can't live without you. Let's face it, saying I can't live without you might seem like the ultimate expression of love. It feels like the kind of heartfelt plea that could pull on anyone's heartstrings, right? But here's the truth. It places the entire weight of your happiness and emotional well-being onto your ex's shoulders. No one should ever carry that kind of burden, and neither should you. Think about it. When you tell someone you can't live without them, what you're essentially saying is that your entire existence is incomplete without their presence. It's a message that conveys dependency, not love. And dependency is a heavy chain, one that not only weighs you down, but also puts unnecessary pressure on the other person. They're left with the feeling that your happiness, your emotional stability, and even your sense of self are tied to them. And that's not fair to anyone. Imagine if the tables were turned. If someone said to you, "I can't live without you," how would you feel? Would it inspire you to feel love or compassion, or would it make you want to pull away, to create distance, because the responsibility of someone else's happiness feels overwhelming? As Maya Angelou beautifully put it, "You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody." This is the mindset we need to embrace after a breakup. True love doesn't come from someone else filling a void in your life. It comes from being whole, from finding peace and strength within yourself. When you rely on someone else for your happiness, you become emotionally dependent, and that dependence stifles growth for both of you. Instead of pleading for your ex to fill that emotional gap, focus on rediscovering your own power. Who are you outside of the relationship? What makes you feel whole? Dive into your passions, surround yourself with people who uplift you, and take time to nurture your own well-being. Your happiness isn't dependent on anyone else. It never was. It's yours to create, and you are more than capable of doing that. Breakups are painful, no doubt, but they also offer an opportunity for profound personal growth. When you can stand on your own 2 feet and say, "I am enough," that's when real love can flourish, whether with yourself or with someone else in the future. So the next time you feel the urge to tell your ex that you can't live without them, remember that you've already got everything you need inside you. Your life is yours to live, and no one else holds the key to your happiness. Let that realization empower you, and let it guide you forward on your journey. Number 2, do you still love me? It's a question that many of us ask when we're desperate for closure, seeking that one answer that will give us peace. "Do you still love me?" may seem innocent enough, but it can actually create more harm than good, especially if you're hoping for reconciliation. Think about it. When you ask someone, "Do you still love me?" you're putting them in an extremely vulnerable position. You're asking them to share feelings that may be uncertain or unresolved. In doing so, you're placing them in a corner, forcing them to respond to a question that can be difficult to answer, especially when emotions are still raw. The truth is, healing doesn't happen when you're seeking immediate answers. It happens when you give both yourself and your ex the space to breathe, reflect, and rediscover what they truly feel, without the pressure of having to articulate it in an instant. Love, real love, doesn't come from constant questioning or proving. It's something that unfolds naturally. By constantly asking, "Do you still love me?" you might unintentionally make your ex feel like they're under a microscope, and that can stifle any chance for true reconciliation. The emotions might still be there, but they're buried under the weight of expectation and pressure. Seneca wisely said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you're desperate for answers, you start imagining all sorts of worst-case scenarios. Maybe they don't love you anymore. Maybe they've moved on. These imagined fears only compound the emotional toll of a breakup and cloud your ability to see things clearly. In reality, love isn't something that can be forced or rushed. It grows slowly through time, patience, and space. So instead of pressing for an answer, allow the emotions to unfold naturally. Give your ex the freedom to rediscover their feelings without the burden of your questioning. Healing for both you and your ex requires time to process, reflect, and grow. This space allows love to either reignite or fade in its own time. By forcing the conversation prematurely, you risk cutting off that natural flow, turning a potentially beautiful process into a pressured negotiation. The most powerful thing you can do for yourself and for the possibility of reconciliation is to step back and focus on your own growth. Invest in yourself, discover your passions, and heal at your own pace. In the end, love, whether it returns or not, will come when it's ready, and when it does, it will be far more authentic and powerful than anything forced too soon. So before you ask, do you still love me? Pause and remember, true love doesn't need to be questioned. It speaks for itself. Instead of pushing for an answer, trust that the right time for clarity will come when both of you are ready. Number 3, I've changed, I promise. We've all been there, feeling desperate to prove we've changed, to convince our ex that we're not the same person who contributed to the breakup. But here's the truth. Words alone can't rebuild the trust that was lost. Saying I've changed, I promise may come from a place of genuine remorse, but it can easily be seen as just another empty promise if it's not backed by action. In moments of vulnerability, we may feel the need to reassure our ex that things will be different this time. But the reality is, promises don't hold much weight without tangible evidence to support them. Words are fleeting. Actions, on the other hand, speak volumes. It's through the way you handle challenges, communicate with others, and grow as a person that your ex will begin to see that change isn't just a temporary effort. It's a lasting transformation. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is the essence of change. Stop talking about who you want to become and start living it. Show your ex, and more importantly, show yourself, that you've evolved in ways that will make a lasting difference. It's not about just saying the right words. It's about becoming the right person. Start with small steps. Improve how you communicate, especially when things aren't going well. Practice patience, not just with your ex, but with everyone around you. Take time to reflect on your mindset and whether it fosters growth or holds you back. Real change comes from consistently making better choices, not from a few convincing statements. If your ex is going to believe in the changes you claim to have made, they need to see proof. And that proof will come in the form of actions. Actions that reflect who you are now, not just who you say you are. So, instead of focusing on promising change, focus on living it out. Let your transformation speak for itself. Number 4, remember when it's so tempting, right? The nostalgia of the good times, the happy moments that made you feel close, loved, and understood. But here's the thing, bringing up the past can do more harm than good. While you might want to relive the memories, your ex may only see it as a reminder of why things fell apart. They may feel frustrated, sad, or even resentful when the past is brought up, especially if they've already moved on or are still healing from the breakup. As human beings, we're wired to hold on to what feels familiar, and the past is something we know well. We often think, if we can just talk about the good times, maybe we can rekindle something. But that's a trap. Rehashing the past doesn't create a new foundation. It only brings back old pain and unresolved emotions. For healing and reconciliation to happen, you both need to focus on building a future, not a past that's already been lived. Maya Angelou once said, "We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated." That means that while the past is part of who you are, it doesn't define you or your future. Instead of looking back and saying, "Remember when we..." Focus on who you've become and how you're moving forward. Show them that you're not stuck in the past, but actively working to create something better for both of you. Instead of asking your ex to relive old memories, invite them into a new, more positive dynamic. Create new moments that remind them of why they fell for you in the first place, your charm, your strength, your character. You don't need to force a trip down memory lane to rekindle connection. You need to live in the present and show them that who you are now is even more captivating than who you were then. By focusing on who you are today, not who you were yesterday, you leave space for the future to unfold, free from the weight of past mistakes. Let them see your growth and the potential for something stronger, something better. Number 5, it was all your fault. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to point fingers. The pain of the breakup, the confusion, and the loss can all feel overwhelming, and blaming your ex might seem like the way to release some of that frustration. But here's the hard truth. Shifting all the blame onto them doesn't bring you closer. It pushes you further apart. It creates walls of resentment, guilt, and defensiveness that can never foster healing or reconciliation. The reality is that relationships are complicated, and there's always more than one side to every story. When you say, "It was all your fault," you're dismissing the possibility that both of you may have contributed to the end. The truth is, growth comes from looking inward and taking responsibility for your own actions. Healing happens when you can acknowledge your own mistakes and learn from them. By doing this, you create space for real change and growth, not just for you, but for the relationship itself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This is where maturity enters the picture. Instead of holding on to resentment or anger, step into your power and show them that you're capable of reflection and accountability. This doesn't mean taking all the blame or ignoring the things they may have done wrong. It simply means recognizing that you, too, played a part in the dynamics that led to the breakup. When you show self-awareness and maturity, you demonstrate emotional strength. You communicate that you're someone who is capable of owning up to their actions and learning from their mistakes. That kind of accountability is not only attractive, but it's also a foundation for growth, both personal and relational. Instead of blaming, focus on what you've learned from the relationship and how you're evolving as a person. Only then can you move forward in a way that honors both your own growth and the potential for a healthy, more balanced relationship in the future. Number 6, I'm dating someone else now. It's tempting, isn't it? The urge to make your ex feel the pain of seeing you move on, to create a sense of jealousy that somehow proves you're worthy of their attention. But let me be clear, this is a game you won't win. When you tell your ex, "I'm dating someone else now," you're not showing strength or moving forward. You're playing games with emotions, risking your integrity, and potentially destroying any chance of reconciliation. It's an attempt to provoke a reaction, but all it really does is undermine trust. True love isn't about making the other person jealous or proving a point. It's about vulnerability, honesty, and a deep connection that thrives on mutual respect. Maya Angelou once said, "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." This quote is a reminder that we are in control of how we choose to respond, especially after a breakup. Instead of playing games or using tactics to manipulate emotions, choose the path of integrity. Show your ex that you have grown, that you're capable of handling your emotions in a healthy way, and that you respect both yourself and the relationship you once had. Dating someone else as a way to provoke jealousy won't heal your wounds or bring them back. It only shows that you haven't learned the lessons the breakup was meant to teach you. You're still attached to a cycle of insecurity and validation that keeps you from embracing real growth. If you want your ex back, don't play games. Instead, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Show them that your intentions are pure and that the love you shared is worth revisiting. Not because of jealousy, but because of the emotional maturity and understanding that now exists between you. When you operate from a place of authenticity, you attract genuine connection, and that's the foundation of any lasting relationship. Number 7. Let's get back together. There's something incredibly vulnerable about asking to get back together after a breakup, isn't there? It feels like it's the one thing that can make everything right again, like the solution to your heartache. But here's the thing. It's also one of the most premature things you can say. When you ask, "Let's get back together," you're skipping over the crucial process of healing and rebuilding. Reconciliation doesn't start with words. It starts with actions. It starts with showing that both of you have grown, that you've addressed the issues that led to the breakup in the first place. Simply asking to reunite doesn't give space for the trust, understanding, and emotional intimacy that need to be re-established. It can feel like pressure, and no one wants to feel like they're being rushed back into something that hasn't been properly rebuilt. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." If you're pushing for immediate reconciliation, you're overlooking the fact that the obstacles, pain, distrust, past mistakes, are the very things that need to be dealt with first. Those obstacles don't just disappear by saying, "Let's try again." They need time to heal, space to breathe, and room to be understood. Rushing into a reunion doesn't give you the opportunity to address what went wrong, and it leaves you at risk of falling back into the same unhealthy patterns. Instead of asking them to come back right away, focus on your own growth. Show through your actions that you've become a better version of yourself, not for them, but for you. Take the time to rebuild your own emotional resilience, work on your communication, and become someone who attracts love through authenticity, not desperation. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Show them, without saying a thing, that the person they once loved is still there, stronger, wiser, and ready to love in a healthier way. This isn't about forcing someone back into your life. It's about allowing space for them to recognize the growth within you and to come to the decision themselves on their own time. When you're no longer pressuring them for a quick fix, you give both yourself and them the freedom to reflect, heal, and ultimately decide if coming back together is truly what's best for both of you. Number 8. I know you miss me. This might seem like a bold statement, perhaps an attempt to gauge your ex's feelings, or even an effort to rekindle some spark. However, making this assumption can often come across as dismissive, and in the end, it may only push them further away. When you say, "I know you miss me," you're not giving your ex the space to truly process their feelings. You're projecting your desires onto them, assuming that they're experiencing the same things you are. But the truth is, every individual has their own way of dealing with loss, and pushing for an acknowledgement of their emotions on your terms does not respect that process. When you assume what they feel, you're neglecting the most important aspect of any relationship: understanding and empathy. A genuine connection is built on listening and allowing space for the other person to express themselves in their own time. It's about being present, not forcing emotions to fit into a narrative that makes us feel better or more in control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In the context of relationships, the best approach isn't to retaliate or manipulate emotions. It's to be patient, to allow room for both parties to heal and to respect each other's emotional journey. Pressuring your ex into showing affection or declaring their feelings before they're ready only creates more tension. You're robbing them of the ability to process on their own and forcing them into a mold that might not fit where they're at emotionally. Instead of focusing on what you think they might feel, focus on your own growth. Give them the space they need to reflect without pushing for validation. Let them miss you when they're ready to. And if they don't, that's okay too. It's not a reflection of your worth. It's simply a sign that they're on a different path, one that might not include you, and that's a painful truth to accept, but it's necessary for growth. By releasing the need for them to acknowledge their feelings before they're ready, you open yourself up to the possibility of a deeper, more genuine connection. The foundation of this connection will be built on mutual respect and understanding, not assumptions or hurried declarations. Let them decide how and when they want to express their emotions, and trust that when the time is right, the connection will either grow stronger or you will move forward, stronger than before. Number 9. You'll regret losing me. Saying, "You'll regret losing me," might feel like a final attempt to get the attention or emotional response you're hoping for, but this kind of statement isn't born out of love. It's manipulation. It leverages guilt and fear, attempting to make your ex feel bad about their decision to end the relationship. But here's the harsh truth. True love isn't about creating regret. It's about mutual respect, understanding, and freedom. When you say this, you place the weight of your happiness on their shoulders. You're implying that their life will somehow be incomplete without you. And while it may seem like an emotional plea, it only creates resentment. No one wants to be coerced into something because they fear regret. Love cannot thrive on fear. It thrives on freedom, trust, and genuine connection. Instead of trying to manipulate their feelings, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Not to prove anything to them, but because you deserve to be the confident, loving, and self-assured person who naturally attracts positivity, respect, and happiness. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This is a reminder that the best way to show your worth is not through words, but through actions. By focusing on your own growth and well-being, you become someone who exudes confidence and inner peace. This will naturally draw others to you, including your ex, but not because they regret losing you. Instead, they'll be drawn to the person you've become, a person who lives their life on their own terms, not begging for anyone's approval or validation. When you release the need for validation, you create space for a healthier relationship dynamic, whether that's a renewed connection with your ex or simply a deeper understanding of yourself. Instead of making them feel guilt, allow them to miss you because they see the person you've become. And remember, whether or not they ever regret losing you, the most important thing is that you never regret losing yourself in the process. Number 10. Can we still be friends? The question, "Can we still be friends?" may seem harmless at first, like a way to maintain some connection after a breakup. However, it's one of the most confusing things you can say if your true intention is to win them back. The reality is, asking to remain friends often leads to emotional confusion, blurred boundaries, and prevents both of you from healing properly. When emotions are still raw, trying to transition to a friendship before either of you is ready only complicates the process. If you're still holding on to the hope of reconciliation, friendship might feel like a consolation prize, a way to stay close to them without fully confronting the reality of the breakup. But consider this. Real healing comes from separation, not closeness. When you're close friends with an ex, it can be impossible to separate your old feelings from the new dynamic, keeping you stuck in the past instead of allowing both of you to move forward. It's like trying to fill a glass that's already full. It's not going to fit anything else in. Similarly, if they are still emotionally tied to the relationship, being friends can lead to feelings of resentment, unfulfilled longing, or even jealousy. Seneca wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." In this context, true freedom comes from releasing attachment to someone who has chosen to move on. Allowing yourself the space to heal from the relationship allows you to regain control over your own emotions and thoughts, free from the weight of trying to maintain a connection that no longer serves either of you. Instead of clinging to a friendship out of fear of losing them completely, focus on your own growth. Take time to rediscover who you are without them. Reflect on what makes you happy, what you've learned, and how you can become a stronger, more independent version of yourself. During this time, you may realize that the connection you once had, although meaningful, no longer fits the person you're becoming. Remember, it's okay to let go. Sometimes space is the best thing both of you need in order to truly heal and reconnect, whether that means giving the relationship a second chance or walking away stronger and more confident than ever before. Breakups are tough, and wanting someone back is even tougher. But remember, what you say and don't say can make all the difference. If you've said any of these things before, don't beat yourself up. Growth starts with awareness. Drop an affirmation in the comments. I'm strong, patient, and capable of healthy love. And hey, if this video helped, like, share, and subscribe for more insights. Let me know in the comments which point resonated with you most. Until next time, stay wise and stay strong.